Hello friends, welcome to this channel. Today we are going to talk about how to set up your Scrum board in JIRA. So let's talk about how to set up a Scrum board in JIRA. So for that, let's create a brand new project here. So let's go to project, click on create project, and then you have Kanban, Scrum and bug tracking. We want to select Scrum. And then this explains what Scrum is, and I recommend you read this because it simplifies and answers to a lot of questions that you might have. Then click use template. This brings you to either team manage or company manage. I always like to use company manage because it just has all the features, while team manage does not have, just very slim down version. So if you want to go a little bit advanced later on with team managed, you might not be able to do it. So therefore I usually use company managed. Anyway, that will help you. So then we click select the company managed project. Now we need to give it a name. Let's give it a name, Scrum Board Project. But please give the descriptive name that will explain your project. So let's click create, and here we are, if you know Scrum and if you are selecting a Scrum project, you should know at least 3 Scrum manifesto. Know what Scrum is. Scrum is all about iteration called sprints. That's why I have an active sprint board, which is now empty, but because we did not create any sprints now. It also has backlog where you can keep creating your stories. So let's create first story. So story is business value or part of the work. Then when you create your first story, or I mean when you created enough stories to put them in iteration, which can be 1 week, 2 week, or whether time it is. So and then you can create a sprint, and then you can start putting your stories into sprints. And once there is enough, you need to discuss with your team. Make sure your team understand everything about those stories, flesh out anything that they don't understand, and make sure that everyone is committed. Usually your estimate story as well. I would not get into estimation in here, but usually in Scrum we do estimate. So you will put some story point with your team, and then you can have, let's say this will be a randomly, let's say 2 story points, and the other will be 8 story points. So one of them is much more complex than the other will take more time. So this is our 2 stories. Then we can click start sprint to start working on it. So let's click start. Here we go. And then here we are to do in progress and done. So this is an active sprint board, which could also be called as a Scrum board. So you might want to customize that, right? So let's say you have some other process. Let's say I have a QA. So click on 3 dots here, then click on board setting, and then usually in general go to columns, and then here this is your columns. So let's add a column, let's say in QA. Then you can add it. Then you will have another column, and then some team have like on staging to see where it is, and then in production, and then when it tests it in production, it's done. So essentially, to do is nobody pick it up. In progress, we are working on it. And in QA means quality insurance to it and working on it, right? On staging means we deployed to staging and then we tested everything we need. You can create more status here. So let's say if it's not staging but you don't like on staging status, you might create a status called QA on staging. And then if it moves here, QA knows it needs to create on staging. And then you can have another status here, let's say QA on staging passed, let's say. And then whenever this status QA will put in the status, and then it will know that it is ready to deployment to production. So you can have the same in production and then you can have done. It's really depend on what your team is doing. This will probably a simplest one to do in progress in QA staging and done. But you can choose any way you want, and but do not make it too complicated, because the more complicated you make it, the more people are not willing to follow the process, right? So you can limit where those tickets can go also. So let's go back here and let's reference it, and you can see we can drag it to in progress, and then we can drag it to in QA and so on. So you are good to go. This is actually how you set up your things, and then when the sprint is complete, when everything is done, you can click on complete sprint, and then you complete it, and then you will get a sprint report. As you can see what was completed, and then you can look what happens here. So that's essentially the workflow of Scrum and how you can configure a Scrum board in your JIRA, right? I hope you all guys are enjoyed this video. If you have any question, you can ask in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer out. So thank you for watching. Bye and have a nice day.